What's good, ladies and gentlemen? CJ here, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at Brant's weapon. As we know, there's been a lot of talk about Brant, but nobody's really talked about his weapon until today that Kuro blessed us with the official information for his weapon. So in this video, we're going to break down Brant's weapon. I'm going to give you the benefits that it offers to not only Brant, but other characters on the roster, what it brings to the table, should you pull for it, and how impactful this weapon is going to be, not only to Brant, but to other characters in the game. And if that wasn't enough, we also know that Chang Lee is running alongside our boy, so we're going to talk about her weapon and see if her weapon is worth pulling. So let's hop right onto the video. Alright, so here we have Brant's sword, Unflickering Valor, and the first thing I gotta point out is this is probably one of the coolest looking weapons in the game. It is a sword, so you already know if you got other sword users, this could be good for them, or maybe not. Let's have a look. So first off, the base stats is 412 attack and 77 energy regen. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, this is one of the lowest base attacks when it comes to weapons that we have so far. Now, this is kind of important because that scales really well with Brant, and he is a character that is going to heavily benefit from flat attack. Now, the energy regen, on the other hand, is extremely freaking high. And as we know, energy regen is vital to Brant's kit. His forte circuit, Ocean Odyssey, is where it's all at. Brant gains additional attack based on his energy regen, and for every 1% of his energy regen over 150, Brant gains additional 12 points of attack up to 1560, which is a buttload. This stacked up with everything else is going to be huge buffs on damage on this character, meaning that just from the stats alone, guys, from the base stats alone, I gotta say this weapon is going to be extremely valuable for Brant. It's going to make building him easier, it's going to make his echoes a lot easier, and it's going to make him overall deal more damage and reach his full potential a lot easier. But now let's move on over to what its actual ability is and what it brings to the table. So here we have it. The weapon's skill, Laughter Prevails, increases crit rate by 8%. So some of y'all might not think this is a lot, but it's actually pretty damn good. That's pretty much one substat on an echo, and it is pretty damn good. Now, casting Resonance Liberation gives 24% basic attack damage bonus for 10 seconds, and dealing basic attack damage gives another 24% basic attack damage bonus for 4 seconds. So there's going to be a point where you guys are going to have up to 48% basic attack damage bonus, which is really damn good, ladies and gentlemen. On top of that, you have the crit rate. This weapon is very good for Brant. There is no other way to put it. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, his best in slot by far. Now, do I think this weapon is extremely valuable for other characters? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think so. Now, if there comes a time where there's another sub DPS sword user that revolves around basic attack, yeah, it's going to be very good. But that's just speculation. In all reality, if you're trying to build a DPS, there's going to be way better options. And if you're trying to build a sub DPS, it has to be something very specific that revolves around, like I said, basic attack, that revolves around energy regen. And we don't have that right now. Now, guys, do I think you should pull this weapon if you're going to get Brant? I'm going to be honest with you. If you're going to get Brant, this is an amazing weapon. I do advise that if you're trying to get yourself a Brant and you want to maximize his potential, go ahead and get this weapon. It will make your life so much easier. It will make building him that much easier. And overall, it's just a very good weapon for this character. Now, do I think you should get this weapon for other characters? Do I think the weapon has value outside of Brant? Not that much. Could it have value in the future? Maybe, but it's a very specific weapon catered to a very specific character, so we would have to see another character where this weapon caters exactly the same. And I don't really think it's worth summoning if we're just waiting for another character in the future. It's better to save your summon currency, summon on the characters you want, and if in the future a character comes out where Brant's weapon is amazing for that character, just wait for a rerun and get it. At least that's my final take on Brant's weapon. Now, the last thing I want to say is if you're not pulling for Brant's weapon, but you are getting Brant, there are other options. You can go ahead and get yourself Overture. It's pretty nice. It still gives you some nice energy regen, and it does have the ability that when you cast it, it restores 8 Concerto energy. Now, this is more of a full-on support role for Brant. It really struggles to build its maximum potential with this weapon. Can you still reach it? Yeah, probably. Will it be harder? Hell yeah, but it's still a good option if you happen to have it, and if you don't have the currency to summon for Brant's weapon, or if you simply can't be bothered to get a weapon that's extremely specific to the specific character. Now, moving over to Chang Lee's weapon, I'm going to keep this brief because this is a rerun, guys. This is one of the best weapons in the entire game. Extremely good, extremely versatile, and you 100% get the bang for your buck when it comes to this weapon, not only in its stats, but its ability as well. So let's have a look. Blazing Brilliant comes with 587 attack and 48.6% crit damage. Those stats are some of the highest we've seen, and it's incredibly, incredibly good. Not only does it make building Chang Lee a lot easier, but a lot of other characters. Mainly your rovers, not just the Spectral, but also the Havoc. It's extremely, extremely strong, and I'm going to show you guys why it makes building those characters that much easier. First off, we have the Spectral Rover, and as you can see right here, we have some decent stats. Even though they're not optimized, we have some really nice attack, we have some very high crit damage, and some relatively decent crit rate. Now, the Blazing Brilliance allows you to reach those insane numbers of crit damage, and you might be thinking, hold on, that crit rate is kind of low. What you guys got to remember is that the best in slot set is going to be the Eternal Radiance set for Spectral Rover. Now, what this set does is that once you have the 5-piece and you apply Spectral Frazzle, you're going to get 20% more crit rate for 15 seconds. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, ladies and gentlemen, is because if we look back at these stats, we would be sitting at 64% crit rate and 312 crit damage. And I do want to point out the echoes are not optimized, and we can get much, much higher crit rate, easily achieving like 70, 75 crit rate with 300 plus crit damage. Now, as we can see, Havoc Rover is pretty much the same. I haven't changed the echoes and it's not optimized, but it still has some very high crit damage. Now, what makes Havoc Rover so much better when it comes to rocking this weapon is the fact that we finally completed his Resonance chain. If we go down all the way down here, this one is what changes everything. In the Dark Surge state, Rover's crit rate is increased by 25%. So once you're in that state, you're going to get another 25% increase to your crit rate, allowing you to reach some insane numbers of crit rate while still keeping insane numbers of crit damage. Now guys, if the stats alone and the ease of build for multiple characters is not enough to convince you, let's take a look at the weapon skill, because hands down is one of the best weapon skills out there, Crimson Phoenix. First off, it gives you a 12% attack increase, which is really good. And then it has the ability. The wielder gains 1 stack of Searing Feather upon dealing damage, which can be triggered once every 0.5 seconds, and gains 5 stack of the same effect upon casting Resonance skill. Now, I do want to point out, tons of characters are going to be spamming their Resonance skill. For example, both versions of Rover. Each stack of Searing Feather gives 4% additional Resonance skill damage bonus for up to 14 stacks. Ladies and gentlemen, that is over 50% more Resonance skill damage bonus. That buff alone is bigger than most other weapons buff. It is absolutely insane. Now, it does say after reaching the max stacks, all stacks will be removed in 12 seconds, but it doesn't matter because you're constantly going to be building up those stacks again and increasing your damage. Guys, this weapon, hands down, is one of the best swords in the game, and it's just so useful. It is absolutely goated, and I do think it's definitely worth summoning. All right, and that pretty much wraps up the video. Let me give y'all a quick summary, guys. If you're pulling for Brant and you want to maximize his full potential, yes, get his weapon. It's without a shadow of a doubt the best weapon for Brant. It's going to allow you to get everything out of him, reach his maximum potential, get all his ER, all his stats as high as you can. It's also going to give you an ease of build when it comes to his echoes and substats, but that's as far as that goes. I do not think it's the best weapon for anybody else by far. I don't think it has the value other weapons have where you can rock them on multiple characters. And even if a character drops in the future that could use Brant's weapon, might as well wait for a rerun. I don't think that if you're not pulling Brant, Or if you don't care for mid-maxing, you should be going for Brant's weapon. Now, when it comes to Chang Lee, though, I do gotta say her weapon is extremely valuable. It can change an entire account. It can allow you to build your rovers extremely easy and very, very strong, if I do say so myself. And overall, it's a weapon that has extreme value. So I do advise, if you have a little bit of spare change, throw a couple pulls into that banner and hopefully you get it. But that's gonna be it for me. Let me know in the comment section below, will you be summoning for Brant, Chang Lee, or their weapons, or are you waiting for another character? And don't forget, we will be going live when Brant goes live, doing our summons and giving away some Lunite subscriptions. So come hang out, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.